everybody. I'm just delighted to introduce you to Joe Yates, who is not only our marketing consultant for How Bright Can We Shine, but he's also the host for one of our projects, which is the Safe Social project. And so, hi Joe, thank you for agreeing to be interviewed by us today.
No, thank you for having me.
It's all right. Joe's got a fantastic project, and that's what I want to talk about today. We managed to talk to him about it yesterday during our Shine event, and I managed to forget to press the record button, but everybody said it was fantastic. So here's Joe very kindly giving us a bit more of his time so that we can record it again. So Joe, first question then is, how did you come up with the idea of Safe Social?
So from a young age, I've had mental health problems. Friends around me have had mental health problems. As little as, you know, feeling anxiety when operating on devices, all the way through to severe depression and worst cases, suicide. So, you know, I never really thought about any of it when I was at school. It wasn't like one of these entrepreneurs that's saying, oh, when I was at school, I saw this opportunity and I've now created it. And you learn to live with it. And you are given very little training when you're at school. But it's all around, you know, stranger danger and those sorts of things, which in reality, things like that don't actually happen that much. It still happens. It's important young people are taught about it, but it's not the reality of social media and mental health. And then when I set up my advertising agency, Unknown Marketing, I started learning around the issues of social media, how actual advertisers target and can target young people in their buying decisions. And about 18 months ago, I just got fed up with seeing young people really struggling with mental health, and decided that there's something that can be done from a young age to mitigate those issues. There's always going to be mental health problems. We can never take that away, but there's certain skills that I believe our course can give these young people so they can deal with mental health problems, and, you know, design themselves a much better online habits and experience for themselves, so that if they have got mental health problems, they're not worsened by social media.
Yeah, because I know one of the things you said yesterday, which really struck me, was that it's a kind of, I got that feeling that it's impossible to tackle what's out there. So what you have to do is tackle how people deal with it so that they can be strong and they can kind of know how to handle the stuff that's coming at them and what to, I suppose, take notice of and what to not take notice of. Is that right?
Yeah, it goes, I mean, our course goes as far as, which I'm sure you'll ask me to explain shortly, but
yeah,
it goes, you know, into stuff like the fact that not everything you see is actually true. So, you know, body image of certain people, you know, it's been edited for advertising reasons. Even little things like 14-year-old girls will compare themselves to 22-year-old girls. Well, of course they're going to have a better body image, but, you know, from their point of view in their head, they just think, well, they're much better looking. And what we try and do is we can't stop that feeling because Instagram's there, Facebook's there, Twitter's there. But what we can do is we can give them the skills to actually view it from a realist point of view. But also, if they are feeling low, there's certain things that they can do to avoid getting even lower, and go and, you know, improve their mental health at that stage and then in the future.
Yeah, and you know, that's really interesting because you know, I'm 57 and even I'm impacted by the stuff, and I'm kind of worldly wise, and you know, I kind of have a logical thought process. But I was fairly shocked, I think about 2 years ago, when I was doing a course about body image to try and improve the way I thought about myself. and they showed me a video. No, it was a picture of what she would be called a plus size model, but I would guess she was probably about a UK size 12. And they saw you saw the before and after photograph, and it was just shocking what they took out and what they left in. And so yeah, and enhancing. You can even on Zoom, you can just press a button and enhance your image, can't you? I don't know whether I've remembered to do that today. So yeah, that's really important, isn't it? Because younger people, it's harder for them, isn't it? Okay, so who encouraged you?
Encouragement. So I encourage myself to do a lot of things. I think being a young entrepreneur is not something that parents would push you into. And I also say I don't think parents should push you into it, really. I think if you want to do it, go do it. But there's a sort of mindset you have to have. And I had a call, it was yesterday actually, before the meeting with a happiness expert and culture expert who works with teams to basically help you find the purpose. And before that, I knew why I wanted to do it, but I couldn't say it. But now it's truly the care I have for people. At 14 or 15, I did 100 miles for charity for cerebral palsy sport because I saw a young lad that was in my school that couldn't do any PE. So I found this charity that do basically give resources to schools to basically help them develop. So they give them, the frame so that they can do football. They do exercises with them so they can do things that, people that haven't got cerebral palsy can do. So they enable them to live like, they haven't actually got, cerebral palsy. So, that was probably where I first started helping people. And I always look at ways that, we can help people. So with Unknown Marketing, I started in a bike shop where I needed to help them get more customers. And the reaction of that owner when he actually started achieving what he wanted to achieve after his business had gone up and then gone right down to the point that some days, he was walking in and you could see that he was on the brink of, being fairly emotional because he wasn't achieving what he set out to achieve.
Yeah.
So, helping businesses do that. And then, me seeing friends around me and going, well, we can't just stand by and, make sure I check in with them once a week, once a month to see if they're okay. Because deep down, you don't know if they're okay. And I think having those personal experiences as well, where I didn't know how to deal with them and I learned how to deal with them, and speaking to psychologists now and things like that, I think it's stuff that young people can be educated from a young age and how to do it. So in terms of, to actually answer your question, I think encouragement is very much been since I started talking around the idea as a third party saying, I've seen this idea, I might back it myself. The support it's got, including the crowdfunder and just speaking to parents, has just been incredible.
That's brilliant, Joe. You're doing a great job. So tell me what it is. What is the solution?
So Safe Social has a 3-pronged approach, which is where it's one of its unique selling points. And we look at teaching, obviously, the most important people that's our students in how to use social media. So we start from around the age of 7, it's going down to 7, it was 10. So from the age of 7, we teach them about just values online. So, how they should operate online, how they should treat friends, the stuff parents teach them. But a lot of the time it gets, as soon as you remove that personal connection, it gets removed, and it really shouldn't. Yeah. So people, they call it keyboard warriors, but it happens. So we teach them about the values, the implications of, if you are mean to that other person, and it's taught in a very different way. As they approach high school, which is obviously nearing to you 12 years old, we start teaching them around cyberbullying, similar to stuff to what CEOP used to teach us in, your stranger danger, the fact that if someone messages you, if you don't know them, don't reply. that side of things. To summarize, as we get towards 14, so it's designed so the course is delivered every year, just for reference. As we get towards 14, that's where typically people start experiencing sexting and sending nudes. So we look at working with ex-police officers. We look at the implications of sexting, what exploitation can look like. So, you know, there's been cases where people have sent nudes they've received around. It happened in my year, and you know, it's totally wrong. But when they're young people and they don't understand, they're not going to know any differently, and parents don't teach them around that. Mainly because they're scared to talk about that topic, and if their kids don't know, they don't want them to know either. And then as they reach 14, one of the key reasons why people suffer from mental health problems accelerated from social media is because they don't have anything else in their lives. And parents now, because it's easier to just say, yeah, you can go on your Xbox, they're not pushing them to go out and play with friends. They're not pushing them to go in, you know, explore, because also they're scared that, you know, they're keeping them in that bubble. And they know that if they're up there, they're actually safe, when actually they're probably less safe online than if they were to go outside and enjoy the fresh air. So we look at how we've got CV templates that basically will help them get into employment from an early age. So if they want to go and earn some extra pocket money, they can do so, and we give them the sort of roles that you can get as a 14-year-old. We look at what extracurricular activities they can do. So, you know, what do the schools offer? What do local football clubs offer? And we want to partner with these organisations to help young people get into football, get into netball, get into cycling, running, whatever it is that they want to do. They've got that extra bit of release from school, social media, and, you know, your PlayStation, your Xbox. And then as we reach your kind of work experience ages, so your year 10, year 11, year 12, year 13, we look at how you can utilize LinkedIn to become more employable. So, you know, why you should get a LinkedIn profile. I went to Birmingham Airport for my work experience, and I didn't connect with any of the directors. I wish I did. Now, when I've sent requests and said I was on work experience, they won't connect with me. But if I was with them at the time, I'm sure they would have done. So making sure that they know those skills that I wish I knew when I was at school to do that, but then also looking a lot more deeper into how to, you know, develop healthy online habits, how to remove certain triggers that cause you to feel down when you're on social media. And when they're in older years, so from 16 up to 25, that's when we really look at mental health, what to do if you are feeling low, you know, how to simply improve your online experience so that we're not having young students get to the point where they feel like the only option is to take their own life and can't reach out. But then also educating them on charities that aren't just Samaritans. There's Mind and loads of other charities out there that can help these young people.
Yeah, that's really good, Joe. Yeah, I'm just interested because, you know, we had quite a conversation last night, didn't we, about that idea that parents are thinking that their kids are safer when they can see them than when they're out in the field climbing a tree or damming a river up or whatever. So yeah, I can see that, and I think it's a huge issue. I'm the mum of a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old, so I can see what they've been through, and it's been horrendous, and it's certainly a lot worse than it was when we were younger.
Yeah, so, and then the two parts I didn't mention is we've got the teacher training and the parental training. Just quickly, so the teacher training, the reason we did that was that when we were researching with teachers, we asked them what they think the issue is in terms of giving advice around social media. And all the time we don't know what the platforms are. We know Facebook, we know kind of what Instagram is, we don't know what TikTok is. So if a student brings a problem to a teacher, which a lot of times you would, because you are scared to go to parents if it's something other than, you know, I feel like I'm being bullied. Yeah. So teachers feel that now they don't have the skills and ability to deal with those issues. They can advise, but the advice they're giving, they don't feel they're equipped to actually give that advice because they haven't been given the appropriate training. So we're helping to give teachers this training so they understand the platforms. They don't have to use them themselves, but they can give sound advice on, you know, helping these young students. But then also the parental training, we give them strategies of how they should approach social media with their children. Because if you try and block your children from doing something, they'll become deceptive and actually find a way to do it, because they know how to use their phones much better than you know how to use them, because they've grown up with them. It's been their life.
Yeah.
So we get strategies where we've worked with parents in how to better work with their children with social media to keep them safe and also improve their mental health. But then also little things like, I know I mentioned yesterday, something a lot of parents don't know is that obviously now we've got iPads, we've got Samsung tablets that are held up like this to kids, and they're just given to their young children and let to watch Peppa Pig or, you know, Postman Pat or one of those.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
when I was speaking to the psychologist, the reason why when you go and turn the TV off, and there's maybe a little bit of maybe a little tantrum, but not massive, compared to when you try and take someone's device off them, especially a young person when they're watching a TV show, is they believe that they're in that world. So as soon as you remove that amazing world of Peppa Pig away from them, and they're back into, well, Earth, it's a massive reaction because you've just switched their brain like that. And it's because they haven't got the mental capacity to see the difference at a young age. And I think we're losing that now with young people, to the point that, you know, when I spoke to recruiters recently, people around my age don't want to pick up the phone and speak to someone. They want to just reply with a text to say, "Oh, sorry, I missed you. Yeah, what did you need?" And it's like, just pick up the phone. And it's because we're so ingrained now to reply on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, text, that no one wants to actually speak to each other. And that's
That's interesting, yeah, because I kind of learned early on that the easiest way to get my kids to do anything was to text them or to send them a message somehow, rather than actually go up to the bedroom and talk to them, because they didn't want me to go and open the door. In hindsight, it might not have been a good way of dealing with it, but anyway, that's where we are. And then the other thing I was just thinking about was that thing about, you know, kind of you're in this Peppa Pig world. You know, we can probably understand a little bit of how that feels, because if you get into a really good book, it feels like you're actually in that world, doesn't it? And then when you have to shut the book, you don't want to shut the book and leave it and go and have your own life, because you don't want to miss anything that's going on in the book, even though you know that it's not really going on without you. So exactly. Yeah, it must be much harder for little children. Interesting.
Dreaming, you know, when you, even as a adult, when you're dreaming about something in bed, and you're partly awake but partly still asleep, you will continue to want to go back there, because it's much easier than waking up. And that's why people try and keep more and hear out the dream, but it never happens.
Yeah, that is interesting. So Joe, if you could tell us one, what is the big, hairy, audacious goal for this project? What do you want to achieve?
So my ultimate goal is to reduce suicide in young people. It happens far too much, but it has to start right back at the beginning. So firstly, at every delivery we do, whether that's in person or online, we want to make sure that we actually have a difference on those young people, whether it's that they feel like, yes, I need to do something about this, or they feel motivated, or, you know, they simply go and improve their online platform, or parents take something away. That's where we want to start. So we've got this brilliant course. Then after, you know, a year or two working with that school, be able to actually see a difference that we've made, to whether it's pastoral rates have decreased, you know, they're finding that their students are much happier, their students are much more awake, because that's another thing, their tiredness from social media, because they stay up all night on TikTok, etc. And then you know, that will ultimately help reduce mental health problems or help reduce mental health problems developing further. And that will then have that impact on suicide rates. So that's my hope for this project. And I truly do believe that within 5 years, that effect can be seen. But
That's brilliant.
true effect will be seen. And this is why it's so important that schools buy into it every single year. The true effect will be seen in 10 years, 15 years, because the students coming in now who are year 5, year 6, if we're teaching them now around social media and they go through this course all the way through to university, I guarantee they will feel much better online. There'll be a much better online environment. You'll still get nasty people because that's just life. But those that are being bullied, if they are being bullied, how do we make sure that they're not progressing into depression or, you know, anxiety every day? And that's what's important.
It is. That's an amazing, a big, hairy, audacious goal. And as the parent of, you know, 2 young people who've gone to university, I know how scary it is, because they've gone and you feel like, you know, there are real risks of that happening, particularly with young people who've got mental health problems. So yeah, thank you for that, Joe. That's brilliant. So I know that you've created this course and I know you've piloted it, and just tell us a little bit about, you know, what success you've had with it.
We trialed it. I'm from Stafford, which is, you know, a town in England, Midlands. And so about probably 2 years ago now, when I set up Unknown Marketing, part of Unknown Marketing was that I would dedicate so much time to giving back to the local community. And part of that was I saw the awareness of social media around, you know, 18 to 20 months ago. And when I trialed it in these schools, the impact on those young people was absolutely huge. I'd have people message me, to the students themselves, saying, you know, this is literally, this is incredible. Like, I followed what you've told me to do. And this is one assembly or a couple of assemblies we did with them. They followed it and it's improved their online experience. And that's like those key building blocks that we need to do to reach it. Teachers, again, said, you know, it's one of the only deliveries they've ever had in a school where the students have felt so engaged and so enticed into a presentation that, you know, they'd want me back again and again because there was no disturbing. And that's because it's something that's relatable. And too often people, assemblies by schools are around things that the students don't relate to, and they switch off and they don't engage. And same with class, where this is something where I bet you every single student in that room has had one slight issue, whether that's feeling anxiety, whether that's feeling whether someone's going to like them enough. And every student can benefit from this course. And that was trialled across 4 schools in Stafford. And there was not one school that said, yeah, it's very like CEOP. They all said this is needed. And at that point, we were offering it free of charge in schools as a give back to the community. And if we raised enough money, we hope to do that in the first year in our crowdfunder anyway. Otherwise, we want to make it as affordable for schools as possible, because I don't believe that something this important should be a budgeting issue.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a course that's delivered kind of, or there's going to be some kind of face-to-face thing. But you said as well that you're trying to raise money to create an app. So what's that going to do?
Yeah, so the with COVID-19, we work with a company called the Inspirational Learning Group that are partnering with us on this as well, in certain sections to help us develop it into, you know, the course we want it to be. And you know, they, for the last 10, 15 years, did solely in-person delivery. Now, although we've just obviously been announced about the vaccine, but the issue is that if something like this happens again, we want it to be future-proof. and we want it to be accessible by everyone, whether that's UK, USA, South Africa, wherever we're targeting, we can roll this out to them. So my thought was we need to be dynamic and we need to generate an online e-learning platform. So the e-learning platform will initially be web-based, so it'll be accessed by the internet. There'll be a student area that's available to every student, so they can go there and find, you know, the key charities like Mind, Samaritans for help. And that is literally just a portal where they can find help, because I think safesocial.co.uk is much easier to remember and find than all the different charities that are around in their head. And all the charities numbers, details will be on there. So then in terms of the actual learning platform, if schools want this program in their school, they'll get access to the e-learning platform. That's part of every delivery. And they can also choose for one of our team to go and deliver it in person. And the difference between our team and SEOP or even Samaritans, I think Samaritans are great, but you know, a lot of the time it's volunteers that are actually quite old, and the issues are in young people around social media. So we want our team to be delivered by young people so that they can relate to these young people, because I think that was the thing that struck the students, was that I was speaking out and I was being honest with them and saying, look, this is a problem that needs fixing. So we'll then have motivational speaking, because I think it's important that some students get inspired by projects like this, and not just by me, but by other entrepreneurs, other mental health speakers, because although I think the course is unique because it's developed by someone that's been through it, it's also important that we use key partners that are experts, that have PhDs in the industry and are doctors in, you know, psychology, so that our course is backed by science, but also backed by reality. Yeah,
I'm excited about that. My daughter is a psychology student at university, and she's always been very keen to help young people. So yeah, I know she's going to be one of your volunteers. Joe, what can we do to help? What can the members of Shine do to help?
I think the way Shine can help this project is through, well, firstly, if you believe you can add anything to the project, you know, get in touch, because we take all the help we can. There may be certain things that you've experienced that we didn't think about. So any ideas that are added, we've thought about a lot, we'll be honest. However, there's always that little thing that we need to make sure is added in to protect that person. So that's the first thing. Any ideas you have would be highly appreciated. Share our content. So, you know, if you go and like our page on Facebook, Instagram, we're on Twitter, LinkedIn, you know, just share our posts, because if you can't donate, then, you know, there's going to be someone out there that can and that will. So, you know, that's another thing that we really need help with, and really just talking about it as much as possible, and helping in our pledge against mental health in young people, because there's not enough being done. And I'm scared for our young people if someone like myself doesn't step up and start doing something, because in the UK, confirmed 11 students died in term 1, which is just, I mean, it's so scary. And that's not just the students that have died, you know, parents of, part of them would have died inside them, and that could have been avoided. And I want to make sure that's avoided. And it would be amazing if we could have 0. There's always going to be, you know, the odd one that we unfortunately couldn't help. But if we can reduce that as much as we possibly can, then that will that's my mission.
Yeah, and that thing about, you know, the parents and something dying inside, you and I both know, because we've both had personal experience of suicide in the family, how much of a kind of blanket that it puts across anybody who's had anything to do with it, and how awful that is. So yeah, and perhaps even increases their risk of suicide. So yeah, making a big difference to lots of people there. Joe, thank you so much for your interview there. I know you've had to repeat it, but it's just been brilliant. And I'm going to put the link to your crowdfunder below in the post, so that people can click on that and have a look at it and share it. So yeah, we'd encourage everybody to do that, and also for everybody to join the project, because just being aware of this stuff is really important, so that you can talk about it to other people. So yeah, thanks, Joe, for your time. Okay,
No,
bye.
thank you.
Bye.